Unmuted.
Try this again. Call the meeting to order. Roll call of aldermen.
Alderman Kinsella.
Here.
Alderman Hazel.
Here.
Alderwoman Duco.
Here.
Alderman Pusa.
Here.
Alderman Randall. Alderman Randall. Alderman Ferguson.
Here.
Alderman Anthony.
Here.
Alderman Ovian. Alderman Dintelman.
Here.
Alderwoman Schaefer.
Here.
Alderwoman Steele.
Here.
Alderman Rothweiler.
Here.
Alderman Elmore. Alderman Elmore. Alderman Elmore. Alderman Wygant.
Here.
Alderman Wiggington.
Here.
Alderman Barfield.
Here.
Alderman Randall. Alderman Elmore.
Okay, we'll go on to roll call of department heads.
City Treasurer Hart.
Here.
City Attorney Horner.
Present.
Police Chief Bill Clay.
He's on vacation today.
Fire Chief Tom Poor. Fire Chief Tom Poor. Finance Director Jamie Matrix.
She's on vacation today.
Director of Maintenance Ken Vaughn.
Here.
Director of Public Works Jason Noble.
Here.
Director of Wastewater Randy Smith.
Here.
Director of Residential and Commercial Development Anissa McCaskill.
Here.
Director of Library Leander Spearman.
He's off today also.
Director of IT Scott Markovich. City Engineer Michael Beloff. Human Resources Manager Emma Qualls.
Here.
And you said Lieutenant Colonel Icecant, are you on for Clay?
I'm here.
Okay, one more time. Earlier, did Alderman Elmore, or Alderman Randall get on the call?
Here. Alderman Randall is on.
Okay,
Yes, Alderman Elmore's here.
and Alderman Elmore. So we got everybody except Alderman Ovian, and he's excused.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to stand, ask you where you're at to please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Muted.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Unmuted.
Okay. At this time, we have no public hearing this evening. We will go to public participation. If somebody, wait till I call to acknowledge them, would be interested in speaking, leave it to 2 to 3 minutes, your remarks, and hopefully it's on an item on the agenda or at least city business. Anybody this evening would like to participate in public participation? I'll repeat one more time.
I will, but I'm going to yield to the public first.
Is there anybody from the public who would like to have a chance to speak in public participation? Hearing none, I'll close it for the public. Alderman Elmore, was that you that was saying you'd like to say something?
Yes, please, if the public doesn't have anything to say tonight, I just was contemplating and did research this weekend, and I realized that I wanted to share that I've actually played in, which I know is hard to imagine, volunteered or even been on the payroll of the Parks and Recreation Department. It's where I learned how to be a high school baseball umpire. When COVID hit, that was the first department I thought of. Canceling this year's Tour de Belleville was heart-wrenching. I didn't know how they were going to maintain their mantra of how they believe in how that we work so you can play. But through well-thought-out changes and adaptation, they have survived. And we must, I hope we all make sure that they continue to have the best Parks and Recreation departments in Southern Illinois. Whether you realize that or not, we do. They survive by striving to protect what's fun. I've personally received some requests for 2020 Tour de Belleville t-shirts. I put the idea in there. They sold 229 t-shirts. They did a Boo Buckets program to traditionally trick or treat like they did for years. And even the staff thought they'd sell a handful, and they sold 566 Boo offers. The committee's handling it and streamlined to adapt to COVID. The houses will be dropped off and then distributed to the businesses that are participating. So our city's beloved gingerbread houses will survive COVID-19. Soccer, junior tennis, the golf lessons, Zumba in the park, yoga, art contest, gingerbread virtual endurance. Now, the dog park memberships are continuing to be sold and used, promoting social distancing. The facility rentals can. So thank you to the Parks and Rec Department was my message tonight. I just wanted to really thank them for their tenacity in keeping Belleville a great place to play. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Alderman Elmore, just so you know, we got what you said, thank you, but you were cutting in and out pretty significantly there.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. At this time, we are
I'm going
going.
to switch over to my phone then.
We're going to move into presentations and recognitions, but I got two proclamations I want to share tonight, and they both are very important subjects, as all of them are. But I think when I look at the amount of current calls and unfortunately overdoses that we have, I want to read this one and I want to share it with you. The proclamation goes like this: whereas the abuse of alcohol and drugs in this nation has reached epidemic stages, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention, education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign offers citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs or no use of illegal narcotics and drugs, yes. And whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st. And whereas businesses, government, parents, law enforcement, media, medical institutions, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth will demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And whereas the City of Belleville, Illinois supports the goals of National Red Ribbon Campaign, and now therefore I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, do hereby proclaim October 23rd to the 31st, 2020 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourage our citizens to participate in drug prevention education activities, not only during this week, but all year long, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free community. So I ask all of you to take this serious. I think that we need to make sure that everyone knows, our schools, etc., that the city of Belleville is very serious about supporting law enforcement and education on Red Ribbon Week. Now we go into a second proclamation, but it's equally as important. And at this time, I would like to read, whereas the city of Belleville is a community that acknowledges a special vibrance exists within the entire community when it comes to individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in professional effort, volunteerism, and service. And this is why Belleville actively works to be a community of character. And whereas Belleville is a community that encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with a total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas it is evident with the establishment of the Basic Incentive Initiative, Belleville's Community of Character Initiative, and is evident through community-wide projects such as Belleville Helping Belleville Service Day, as well as countless continuing service rising from our school, churches, service agencies, and businesses, which has helped establish Belleville's status as an all-America city. And whereas Belleville is a community which chooses to shine a light and celebrate individuals and organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of their community, and will honor such individuals at its annual Citizens of Character dinner. And whereas Belleville acknowledges the mission of the Extra Mile America Foundation to create 550 miles of cities in America, and is proud to support Extra Mile Day on November 1st, 2020, as Belleville, being a community of character, continues to highlight the belief that communities are made stronger through individuals and organizations who dedicate themselves to going the extra mile in volunteerism and service. Now therefore, I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2020 to be Extra Mile Day in the City of Belleville, and encourage each individual in our community to take time on this day to go the extra mile in his or her own life, and acknowledge all those around us who are inspirational in their efforts to make their organizations, families, communities, country, our world a better place. So I thank all the people who have been involved in our Helping Belleville Days and so many other projects going back to Keep Belleville Beautiful, and so many different projects where we take pride in our neighborhoods. I thank all of you on behalf of the City Council who are listening tonight, and I encourage you to keep up the good work. Volunteerism is a big part of our being a community of character, and we take a sincere thank you to all of you. So at this time, we move on to appointments. At this time, I would like to ask for someone to make a motion to approve my recommendation of the appointment of Jamish Laws to serve a 2-year term on the Human Relations Commission. Do I hear someone a motion?
Schaefer.
Schaefer, do I hear a second? Pusa. We have a motion and a second to approve this young lady to serve. She's a new member on the Human Relations Commission, recommended to me by Lynn Clapp, who's chairman of the commission. If there's no questions, roll call.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Hazel.
Aye.
Duco.
Aye.
Pusa. Randall.
Aye.
Ferguson. Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield.
Aye.
Who do we miss?
Carries.
Did they call? Okay. Motion carries. We go on to approval of minutes. At this time, I would ask for someone to make a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes of October 5th, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Steele.
Steele, and do I hear a second?
Ferguson. Wygant.
Ferguson. We have a motion and a second. I Steele and Ferguson to approve the minutes of the October 5th city council meeting. Are there any questions or corrections? Hearing none, roll call.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Husa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Motion carries. We go now to claims, payroll, and disbursements. I would ask for a motion to approve the claims and disbursements in the amount of $2,522,007.71, and the payroll in the amount of $790,459.83. Do I hear a motion?
Anthony.
Anthony, and who is the second?
Wygant.
Wygant. Motion by Anthony, second by Wygant to approve the claims, disbursements, and payroll. Any questions? Roll call.
Duco,
Aye.
Husa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel.
Aye.
Motion carries. We go to reports. If there's no problem, I'm going to ask for a motion to receive and file the treasurer's report, August 2020, A, statement of cash and investments report, and a motion to approve the annual treasurer's report, May 1st, 2019 to April 30th, 2020. Do I hear a motion to receive and file those reports?
Schaefer.
Schaefer, do I hear a second? Ferguson. Motion by Schaefer, second by Ferguson. Any discussion or comments about those items that we're receiving and filing for audit? Roll call.
Husa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We go on now to, wait a minute, I flipped mine over looking at something.
Zoning Board.
Zoning Board of Appeals on 11A, correct? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to read them, please. Are there, we have two, can we read them together?
Yeah, I don't see this Alderman Wiggington. I don't see a problem. I think we might want to have Anissa, after you read them, give an explanation of the phone call that Alderman Barfield and I had with Anissa, and the, Radleys.
Okay,
11A1, 39 September 20, Sylvester Radley. A request for a use variance to reestablish two dwelling units on the second floor at 9700 West Main Street, parcel 0235021040, located in a C2 heavy commercial district. Applicable section of the zoning code 162.570, Ward 8. Zoning board unanimously recommended approval. 11A2, 40 September 20, Sylvester Radley. A request for a special use permit to establish a convenience store with a print shop and food preparation for carryout and delivery at 9700 West Main Street, parcel 0235021040, located in a C2 heavy commercial district. Applicable section of the zoning code 162.248 and 162.515, Ward 8. Zoning board recommended denial by a vote of 5-2.
okay, Anissa, do you have some comment?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to provide some clarification. In regards to 39 September 20, one of the things that had been discussed was the availability of parking, having a apartment over what could essentially be a restaurant use. And during our discussion with the Radleys, it was made very, very clear, and the Radleys are aware that anything that would be done as far as making the apartments rentable to be subject to crime-free housing, of course. They have to meet all building and fire code requirements for fire separation, ingress, egress, that type of thing. There are 25 parking spaces on the lot. There will be a maximum of 5 employees on the first level on their maximum at the height of their shift. Parking for the apartments is 1.5 spaces per unit. With 2 units, this will result in 3 parking spaces. So in total, there will be a remaining 17 spaces that can be used for the food and carry-out business. In addition, in regard to the first floor business, we were able to clarify the convenience use in that the Radleys really are not targeting the type of uses that are across the street from them. They're not selling gas. They're not selling tobacco or even liquor. They really want to have more of a delivery-based service that if someone calls in for delivery for food from their food service use that is permissible by the zoning, that they would then be able to also provide people with whatever additional items they might need that they could then deliver to them to their home. And so there was a compromise that was made with the aldermen and the Radleys in regard to the convenience store use, and that would be reflected in the motion that Alderman Wiggington would make. And I can answer any questions there may be.
Okay, any questions? Seems like it's pretty thorough. Is there willing to make a motion to approve these two?
Alderman Wiggington, so moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Wiggington. Do I hear a second?
Steele?
Steele, do I hear a
If
question?
I may,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Alderman Wiggington, didn't you have some conditions that would be required for the convenience store use? Or are you waiving those conditions?
Okay, I'm sorry, we're getting some interference. say that again, and this, if you'd be so kind.
In regards to the convenience store use, you had conditions that you had worked on and speaking to the Radleys, do you not want those conditions written into their ordinance, or are you just providing approval as is proposed?
I think that should be written into the ordinance.
Then I defer to you because you would have to provide what those conditions are.
All right, when we're talking about 11A2, correct?
Yes, sir, the convenience store.
The conditions would be, that they, again, the items that we talked about, the apartments, the print shop, the carry-out food service, it would be a delivery service, not a convenience store. Convenience, should probably be stricken, from this vote. However, it is a convenience if somebody's calling in and ordering food and wants to order a sundry item. Yes, it would be a convenience for that specific purpose, but it is not a convenience store.
If I may,
Go ahead.
do you want me to read the language that was provided by Assistant City Attorney Brian Flynn gave some language in regard to that use, because by definition, what they're proposing is a convenient use. So the motion that was provided by City Attorney Flynn was to approve the special use permit for establishment of a convenience store at 9700 West Main, with the stipulation that said use be limited to delivery of goods and services. There shall be no walk-up store sales. And that was the language provided by City Attorney Flynn to be placed into the ordinance for the convenience store use.
That is right. Alderman Barfield and I both read that, and we had no problem with it.
Okay,
This is Hazel. I have a question.
go ahead.
And so would we be striking from the ordinance the word carryout?
I don't think so.
Carry out is, they can still have carry out for food because they will have basically a food business where people can walk in. But the issue was the convenience store and having walk-up service for the convenience store. And the Radleys agreed that the majority of their business and what they were focusing on would be delivery of items that people would typically be buying from the convenience store. So they have agreed that the convenience store would only be through delivery, but people could still do walk-up service for their food. It's a carry out.
I have a question. Explanation as to why we are excluding the ability to purchase other items when they go up for carryout. Why are we excluding convenience?
I would defer to the alderman. It was part of the discussion they had with the Radleys regarding their comfortability. Staff did not make the recommendation. We just worked to help them get the language that they needed. But the alderman can explain what their comfort or uncomfort was with the ability to purchase items on a walk-in. The Radleys just agreed because they felt that the emphasis on their business was delivery. But I'll defer to Alderman Wigington or Barfield.
Yeah, Alderman Hazel, and after discussion with the Radleys, I don't think they ever really meant it to be a convenience store. That's why I say sometimes the word convenience in here is getting confusing. You know, we do have another one on the other corner. We are a little bit concerned about traffic and people going in and out of these premises. Their whole idea, which was misunderstood from the very beginning, is that they want to provide a service with their delivery food service of sundry items. That I don't think all along they were really looking to have a quote unquote convenience store like the Shell station next door. So the Radleys and after Alderman Barfield and I and Anissa talked to them for quite a while, they were very agreeable that this is the business model that they want to have.
Okay.
I have a question. This is Duco.
Yes.
Are they planning on selling like liquor also, or is it just food?
No liquor involved. No
But
liquor.
if someone needs paper towels, they may be able to deliver paper towels to them. They recognize that there are people who are on WIC, who receive government subsidy, that type of thing, who may not have transportation or who are disabled or elderly. So those are the type of items that they would supply in addition to their food delivery business or even walk-up business. But no liquor, no tobacco. They were very clear that they would not be seeking to sell those types of items.
Any other questions? Now, we do have did you ever make a motion?
We have a motion and a second.
Well, I
yeah.
thought so. We have a motion and we have a second to approve, Sylvester, it's case number 39, September 20th, and 40, September 20th, coming from the, zoning board. If there's no further questions, I'm gonna call for a roll call on, these two items coming from zoning.
Can everybody please mute your phone unless you're speaking? Thank you. Randall?
Aye.
Ferguson?
Aye.
Anthony?
I'm going to abstain.
Dillman?
Aye.
Schaefer?
Aye.
Steele?
Aye.
Rothweiler?
Aye.
Elmore?
Aye.
Wygant?
Aye.
Wigington?
Aye.
Barfield?
Aye.
Kinsella?
Aye.
Hazel?
Present.
Did you say aye?
Present.
Oh, present, okay. Duco?
Aye.
Pusa?
Aye.
Motion carries. We move now to 11B, Administration. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve a contract with St. Clair County Trustee Payment Account to purchase the property at 15 North 15th Street, parcel number 08-21.0-323-011 in the amount of $795. Do I hear a motion? Diddleman, do I hear a second?
Duco.
Duco made the second. Anybody have any questions or have it's pretty straightforward. Anybody have any questions on this? Roll call.
Ferguson?
Aye.
Anthony?
Aye.
Dillman?
Aye.
Schaefer?
Aye.
Steele?
Aye.
Rothweiler?
Aye.
Elmore?
Aye.
Wygant?
Aye.
Wigington?
Aye.
Barfield?
Aye.
Kinsella?
Aye.
Hazel?
Aye.
Duco?
Aye.
Pusa?
Aye.
Randall?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We go to 11B2, and if nobody would object, could we put 11B3 in the same motion?
Yes, please.
Yes, please, I like that. So at this time, coming from administration, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the following two items. A motion to set the date of the annual joint review board meetings for all active TIF districts for Friday, December 4th, 2020, at the time listed in the attached memo. And I'd also like to include in that motion, a motion to nominate Alderman Kinsella as the public member nominee for the joint review board meetings for all active TIF districts to be held on Friday, December 4th, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Schaefer.
Schaefer, do I hear a second? Duco. We have a, Pusa, I'm sorry, it was Pusa. We have a motion and we have a second to approve 11B2 and 11B3. pertaining to the TIF joint review boards that we have every year annually. If there's no further questions, I call for a roll call on these two items.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Went to get popcorn.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We go to 11C. Finance, Alderman Kinsella.
On behalf of Finance, I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2020 audit report.
Motion by Kinsella. Do I hear a second?
Rothweiler.
Rothweiler. Do I hear any questions? I know at Finance they went through and talked about it, and is there any questions about the audit? Hearing none, roll call.
Dintelman, Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just want to say, I know she's not here tonight, but Jamie and her staff and all of the department heads work very hard each year on the budget, and I know the audit, they worked with Kevin again this year, and I appreciate all the cooperation in feeding his firm the information they need to do an audit. It's a big job. I don't know, Kevin, if you're on here or not, but I thank you for your service to the city. So at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you don't have anything else to add though, really, do you? I know you talked at the,
No, we went through it last week, I think, pretty well, and
very
year,
good.
the city had a pretty good year, so.
We appreciate that. We're happy in spite of, we're concerned about next year, but we're glad to have gotten through this one. Well, thank you, Kevin. At this time, we move on over to economic development. I go back and turn it over to Ken Kinsella, chairman of this committee. 11D.
Mayor, I'd like to combine 11D1 and 11D2 if possible. Therefore, economic development agreements in the same building. There are two different tenants moving into this building.
Is there a
And
problem?
that's why there are two different.
Does any alderman have a problem with that?
No. No.
Okay, no one speaking up. Go ahead, proceed, Alderman Kinsella.
11D1, a motion to approve a development agreement with RSA Avanti Magna LLC for the remodeling of 7650 Magna Drive to house the Illinois Department of Employment Security and the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. 11D2, motion to approve a development agreement with RSA Avanti Magna LLC for the remodeling of 7650 Magna Drive to house the Illinois Department of Children's Family Services. And I so move.
We have a motion by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear a second to those two motions?
Second.
Wiggington, Schaefer.
Wigington, is that what it was? Wigington made the second. And we have, coming both of them from Economic Development. Are there any further questions on those two items? Hearing none, roll call.
Schaefer,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Weigant,
Aye.
Wigington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa, Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Motion's carried. 11E, we got, let's see, this coming from residential, Alderman Hazel. Alderman Hazel,
11E1,
yes.
okay, 11E1, motion to approve Hanks Excavating and Landscaping Incorporated as low bidder for the City of Belleville 2020 demolitions in the amount of $188,700, DCEO grant reimbursement. So moved.
We have a motion from Hazel. Do I hear a second?
Ferguson.
Ferguson. We have a motion by Hazel, second by Ferguson, to approve the bid from Hanks, the low, most responsible bid for these 20 structures. If there's no additional questions, are there? Roll call.
Steele,
Aye.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Weigant,
Aye.
Wigington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa,
Aye.
Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries, and ladies and gentlemen, that's been long coming, and we're very appreciative of the grant. And I know we got potential to have a few more demolitions, but 20 at one time, that's a big deal, and I appreciate all the cooperation from so many different people. This time we move to Alderman Wigington on ordinance and legal review under 11F.
Can I read both those together, Mayor?
I don't have a problem.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, on behalf of Ordinance and Legal Review, I'd like to make a motion to approve amendments to Title III, Administration, Chapter 32, Organizations, Section 32.059, Human Relations Commission Membership, and a motion to approve amendments to Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 51, Electrical Code, Section 151.02A-E1, Electrical Commission. So moved.
Motion by Alderman Wigington. Do I hear a second to those two ordinance items coming from ordinance?
Randall.
Randall.
Weigant. Randall.
We have Randall, and Wigington made the motion. We have the two motions coming, 11F1 and 11F2, were both just read together. And if there's any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Rothweiler,
Aye.
Elmore,
Aye.
Weigant,
Aye.
Wigington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa. Pusa.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Steele. Steele. Alderwoman Steele.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Alderman Anthony, you're on traffic, right?
Alderman Elmore he said he
I am.
Okay, well, you're the senior alderman. Would you, want to make the motions from traffic since Alderman Ovian is, absent tonight?
I will, Mayor.
Can we read them as a group?
If
Can we
nobody,
read them as a group?
nobody has a problem,
Yeah.
proceed, Alderman, Anthony.
Yeah.
Go ahead and proceed.
All right. Okay. 11G1, motion to approve Avon the northbound one-way street from Garfield Street to Muscooter Avenue. 11G2, motion for one handicap parking only signage in front of 20 North 78th Street in the name of the applicant only. So moved.
Well, you want to go ahead and read the two on the other page, included too?
Okay. 11G3, motion for handicap parking only signage at 313 North 5th Street on the west side and the applicant only. 11G4, motion to designate Governor Prince Academy on West Main Street between 2nd and 3rd Street a school traffic control location. So moved.
Motion by Alderman, Anthony. Do I hear a second?
Duco. Steele.
Duco? Duco, we have a motion by Anthony, seconded by Duco, to approve the four items that are coming to us from Traffic Committee. 11G1, 11G2, 11G3, and 11G4. Are there any additional questions or corrections? Hearing none, roll call.
Elmore.
Aye.
Weigant.
Aye.
Wiggington. Wiggington.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been getting so much feedback. Yeah. Aye.
Barfield.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Hazel.
Aye.
Duco.
Aye.
Pusa. Pusa.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Rothweiler.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Those motions carry from, coming from traffic. We go now, Alderman Wiggington, to Streets and Grades, 11H.
Okay. On behalf of Streets and Grades, I'd like to make a motion to approve Kaskaskia Engineering Group, KEG, to provide plans for resurfacing, pavement marking, and ADA accessible ramp construction 300 feet northwest of Belleville West Parkway to Ballinger Place, approximately 4,300 feet of Belleville Crossing Street in the amount of $40,742. MFT TIF funds, so moved.
A motion by Alderman Wiggington. Do I hear a second?
Weigant.
Motion and a second. Do I hear questions? Roll call.
Wygant,
Aye.
Wiggington,
Aye.
Barfield,
Aye.
Kinsella,
Aye.
Hazel,
Aye.
Duco,
Aye.
Pusa. Did you say aye? Pusa?
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Randall,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Dintelman,
Aye.
Schaefer, Schaefer, Schaefer.
Aye.
Thank you. Steele.
Aye.
I got you. Steele.
Aye.
Rothweiler.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Did you say aye? Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
Alderman Wiggington, I believe you have one more.
Yes, I do. On behalf of Streets and Grades, I'd like to make a motion to approve a scrapping a 1997 Ford F-150 pickup, VIN number 1FTDF1-725-BND07218 from the Sanitation Department. So moved.
Motion by Wiggington, do I hear a second?
Rothweiler, second.
Duco made the second. Any questions on scrapping this vehicle? Hearing none, roll call.
Wiggington.
Aye.
Barfield.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Hazel.
Aye.
Duco.
Aye.
Pusa.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Rothweiler.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wygant.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We go, this time I'd like to ask for a motion to approve a contract with Geisler Roofing Company, Inc. to replace the roof at Herzog Field Grandstand in the amount of $14,800. Do I hear a motion?
Gentlemen.
Schaefer.
Was it Elmore?
I couldn't hear.
Who was the first, who made the motion?
Dintelman. It was Dintelman.
Diddleman and Schaefer. We have a motion and we have a second from, for that first item, 11I1. Any questions on that roofing issue? Roll call.
Barfield.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Hazel.
Aye.
Duco.
Aye.
Pusa.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Ferguson. Ferguson.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Rothweiler.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wygant.
Aye.
Wiggington.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. This time I'd ask for a motion, this is also coming from the Park Board, to approve a contract with Water Odyssey for design and build services for a municipal splash pad at Bicentennial Park with build contract at a later date. Do I hear a motion?
Elmore will make a motion. I am motioning to decline and deny this contract.
Do I hear a second on, to deny?
Randall?
Yes, sir.
So we have a motion by Elmore to deny the contract and a motion by Randall to second that. I'll open it up for discussion.
Okay, this is Alderman Kinsella.
Yes,
Okay, we have a $300,000 grant that is going to pay for the great majority of this, and the rest will be paid for by Parks and Recreation because they've been accumulating money for this situation, and that is not in the general fund that pays salaries. So I think we have to take advantage of it if we're getting $300,000 of it paid by somebody else. If we do not take advantage of the $300,000 now, it will go away.
that is true
So I
too.
think it's important we vote for this, which means that I would vote no on his recommendation.
Okay, so if you, other comments, other questions?
Yes, I'll go whenever you're ready. Oh, Elmore.
Elmore, go ahead.
With all due respect to our Parks and Rec Board, I'm not in good conscience ready for us to install a splash pad regardless of partial funding from the state of Illinois. And my list of reasons are, let's start with the body that says they will refund us up to $300,000. I have seen projects like this for municipal improvement get canceled when it comes time to write the check. The state is in such flux right now, any promise from them is concerning. The $300,000 does not complete this project. There will be money coming out of the Parks and Recreation savings that can only be used for Parks and Recreation. But this is not the best use for what they have worked so hard for so many years to stock away. Are we okay, Jenny?
Yeah, you're okay. I can hear you. You're good.
We have outdated playground equipment. We have parks with overgrown vegetation. Some lack picnic tables and benches and restrooms. The reason for some of that is because fear of abuse and lack of monitoring, which leads me to point number 3. How does a splash pad have use control? Free of charge for anyone to come in and use shooting clean chemicaled water. I fear how that will play out. Our grass cutting expenses are higher than ever, partially because we're understaffed. And I'm not talking about our COVID-19 furloughs and layoffs. I'm talking about the hiring freeze we implemented years prior to the March of 2020 COVID situation. Maintenance of this feature will be an additional unfunded expense, and those funds do come out of our budget. When I started working on Belleville's first dog park and the Tour de Belleville, my personal first rule of thumb was don't let it cost the city any money. Tonight's recommendation from our esteemed Parks Board is to seek a bid from a qualified contractor. This recommendation doesn't cost anything. The Parks Board is doing their job flawlessly. They want to add a feature to one of our parks, a feature that I would love. And I thank them for looking after the aesthetics of our parks. I asked them to look at other things, improvements, and updating our current parks. If you have a leaky roof on your house, you don't recarpet the living room. Look for features that will protect our city finances. We must not follow up furloughs and layoffs with a splash pad to be used 9 or 10 weeks a year. And I truly am sorry to rain on anyone's parade and their excitement of this proposal. But this is a mistake. That's all I have. Thank you.
Who else would like to speak? Duco.
Mayor? Mayor, Alderman,
Alderman Duco's first.
Alderman Wiggington. Okay, go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything yet.
Okay, I'm sorry, I understood. So, Wiggington, you can be next.
Alderman Wiggington.
Wiggington, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. You know, I put a lot of thought into this. And you know, this is the kind of subject that can make people very happy or very mad. But I had no problem when you closed the Belleville pool. Looking this from a business point of view, I just don't think, Alderman Elmore just stated, it's a very short usage. It's the liability, the insurance, the maintenance. Yes, we are good. Thank you for the grant. That's wonderful. And thank you for the mayor, whoever pursued it. But I'm very concerned where this would go down the road. And this is my own personal opinion. I just don't think from a business point of view that it's a good idea. And I'm torn which way to go. And in all probability, I will probably abstain because I respect the Parks Department and all the hard work that went into it. I just personally don't feel comfortable with pools or splash pads, the amount of investment, and the short period of time it can be used. Thank you.
Who's next?
Steele?
Randall?
Steele, you're next.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I would be concerned about it, mainly from an insurance standpoint, because you just cannot monitor 24/7 during the summer. That's all.
Okay, Randall, you're next.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, my concerns really have to do with the ongoing costs of the project itself. I'd like to know what we determine with respect to the costs and, more importantly, where the money comes from. I was kind of curious. It looked like their pamphlet said that they did a project for Alton. Do we have any information from Alton regarding the costs associated with their path?
I'd have to ask Mr. Poole if you had any comparisons to look at, Jason?
Alton's is still under construction, actually.
Okay.
And it's hard to come up with costs currently until we do the design. Basically, what you're voting on tonight, or denying the vote on tonight, is the entering into a contract to come up with the designs. And the design can be, the grant is for $300,000. We could do a $300,000 splash pad, or we could add money to it, but don't know until we do the designs. And then obviously the differing designs, being the sizes, would cost more the larger it is, the more it costs to operate. So that's really all I'm going to say tonight.
And it is true, just to clarify one of the questions I heard, there's money in the recreation budget for projects like this that they have been holding off designated for many years because they've been trying to see of a splash pad or a pool opportunity. This money was put into a grant, and we surprisingly, I want to say, received it, and we could lose the $300,000 if we don't build the splash pad. That's not to tell you that we shouldn't follow what the majority goes on here, but there's been a lot of criticism in recent years, again, because we dare closed our 37-year-old swimming pool, and people who are criticizing don't really have sometimes all the facts. But this splash pad would be something that would offer a summertime extreme heat place for parents and for children to attend. And yes, there's some things to be worked out yet, but we thought all along with many of the comments that we received that doing something soon along these regards were something that many of you had talked about for a long time.
Mayor, can I ask you this, Alderman Wiggington?
Go ahead.
Okay, so if we vote no tonight, it's dead in the water, and the grant goes nowhere. That's my first question. Am I correct on that?
Correct, right, Jenny? I believe we lose the money if we don't get moving on this shortly. We don't have time to spare. We've been told we need to execute.
We just don't have a date. We don't have a deadline date.
No.
Okay, now let me ask you, if we vote yes, does that mean we're going to pursue this to build one at a later date? But what happens if we vote yes? Do we automatically get the money? Number one. But what if down the road we decide that, you know what, maybe this isn't workable. We don't like the way this is turning out, the design and build. And if we come back later and it can it be denied? I mean, once you have the money, are you forced to build it? Or can you still, since we're only entering into a contract, do we still have the ability to come back and rethink this?
I think my gut feeling is that we will have to be responsible for the design build portion of it, and we will have to return the money if we don't build it. But I think that probably the worst case scenario, wouldn't you agree? Jenny's been working on these grants with Eric and others and Jason, but I think, wouldn't that sound logical that if we got to the point where we got the design done and we just other circumstances considered to continue to present themselves, throughout the next couple months, I think the worst we would be out at that point would be having to return the grant money and to be responsible for the design build that we're not using.
Eric, this is Alderman Kinsella.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to address the two things. First of all, some people are worried about insurance. This would be no different than the insurance we had when we had a swimming pool.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, we're going to put a fence around it. We're not going to leave it out in the open. So I think that's kind of a moot issue. We're going to have to set hours for this.
Yeah,
it's not going to be open like the one in downtown St. Louis.
No, and the other thing is, go ahead.
The next item is, some people said that they needed things done in the other parks, so that's true. But I don't hear any complaints from my constituents about tables missing in parks or anything like that. But I do hear a lot of people say a town like Belleville should have a swimming pool or at least a splash pad. And that's coming from people who are seniors that would like to see it for their grandkids.
No, and I've heard those same things.
I think that. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing?
I gotta tell you that I get a lot of complaints about lack of picnic tables, and I also get a lot of reasons why we don't have picnic tables. And a splash pad is a fabulous idea if you have a swimming pool in conjunction, similar to Collinsville, now some communities just have the splash pad, and our parks are open dusk to dawn. So maybe we'll have a fence around it, maybe we won't, I don't even know.
I don't think there's any doubt we're going to have a fence.
Dusk to dawn hours.
It's Squigon, Mr. Mayor.
Wygon, your turn.
Yes, the design of it, what's the cost to get it for the design of the park?
Jason, did they break that out for us?
No, it's all wrapped up in one, depending on how elaborate the design is how much it all is all together.
Yeah. Okay.
We're paying nothing for this portion of it.
Is it for the citizens of Belleville only?
I'm sorry,
I haven't had any discussion on that, but I would think it would be open to the public.
I don't know that we're going to be able to deny people who come. I don't think that's the case. And we never said that we wouldn't have to have some park staff nearby or be there the majority of the time or all the time. That was still to be looked at. But anytime you do extensive programs, whether it be Camp Quackers or anything, you have to have staffing. So I mean, we've been criticized because we don't have a pool. This was something that I think, after many years, through a lot of hard financial times, this is something that we put into the request pot for this grant, and we got it. So, it's up to us whether we take advantage of it or not.
I'd like to
Mayor,
see-
this
I'd
is
like-
all.
This is why I got, yes, I'd like to see what the design is, get the design done first, then, vote on it at a later date.
Well, I would say we're gonna have to, the most you could table it is 2 weeks, because we do know, and I know Jenny can do some checking for us, we don't have a whole lot of time. Jason can try to, go ahead and, see if they can break out a cost for the design and give us a ballpark. They ought to be able to do that in some generalities, and then we could return in 2 weeks and, make a final decision. So that's a possibility.
Mayor, this is Alderman Ferguson.
Yes, sir.
This is Alderman Ferguson. I'm just curious, and maybe I missed it, but I think in the communities of, say, Swansea and O'Fallon, they do have a splash pad.
Right.
And I'm curious, do we know the kind of staffing that it requires or the expense it's been to the city?
I don't know, Jason, have you examined those?
Okay, so I'm gonna comment on the fencing and the hours and that first. A fence would be required, and most likely the hours would be throttled back from our normal 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. park hours. But most people do them during the daylight only, say 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. depending. And then also know that this thing's not going to run 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. if those are the set hours. It would be off until someone come up and activated different zones in it. As far as the staffing goes, some of them are not staffed. It depends if they, some of them regulate as far as who can come in. Some people charge to come into them. Haven't had that discussion yet, haven't had that thought. I kind of, honestly though, thinking about it was just have it open from whatever hours is determined by the park board and council, and then have it maintained accordingly, depending on the design of it and if it's a recirculating system or if it's a pass-through system. If it's a pass-through system, there's no chemicals involved. It's just like a garden hose. Turn on the hose and let it run through the timers. If it's a recirculating system, then it has to be monitored on a daily basis and reports have to be made to IDPH.
Okay. So why don't we do this? I don't know who said it. Who mentioned possibly tabling this? Who made that comment, or who's willing? Wygant, is that a motion to table?
That's a motion to table for 2 weeks until we see what it's gonna cost, and, take it from there.
Do I have a second for tabling for, till the next meeting? Who?
Rothweiler.
Rothweiler. So we have a motion and a second to table. Is there any questions about the tabling motion?
No, but Mayor, is there a
Mayor,
deadline on the grant? Is there a deadline on the grant?
We don't have an exact deadline, but we know that we can't hold it for extended. I think we're gonna have to.
I will inquire.
We're gonna inquire. Jenny's gonna inquire, but we know that it's not gonna be there for extended period of time. Okay?
Mayor, this is Eric.
Yeah, Eric.
Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to speak, but the grant, I have been contacted by DCEO asking on a status update for the grant. To answer one of the questions about, or can we get them, to do the design and then we decide on it. And Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, the design is part of this contract. And if we spend the money to do the design and then turn it down, the city would be out of pocket and have to pay for the design. So we would have to, if we give any of this grant back, we have to give it all back. So I just want to make that clear that this is not, we can kind of pick and choose. We pay for the design with the grant and then turn the rest back in. That's not how this works. We have to do the project, go full out on it, or give it all back.
So, Mayor, could I ask Eric a question?
Go ahead.
Eric, are you saying that if they come back with a XYZ figure that we are not comfortable with, that we would have to pay it anyway?
What I'm saying is, we work with them on the design, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong here. We tell them, for example, we want a $300,000 project. That's what they design. And their design build is all part of that contract. It's all part of it. So, but it seemed like there was a suggestion that this company design it for us, and then we decide if we want to go forward. But that's not how it would work. Because we would obviously have to pay them for that design. So if we decided we didn't want to go forward with it, we'd still have to pay them for the design and then give the grant back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And the design could cost how much? I have no idea.
Well, it's the design build. It's all one. It would be one fee for the entire project. And we tell them. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, think of it like an engineering project. If you have a project that costs $300,000, and a normal engineering fee would be 8% of that. So if you have a splash pad that costs $300,000, the design fee is going to be X. If you have a splash pad for $500,000, it's going to be X plus Y. You don't have a design fee until you know what your services, what they provided. But I will concur with Eric that if we do the design, we can't expect the state to pay for the design and then we say we're not going to proceed with it. If we do the design and that's all we do, we're on the hook for that.
Yeah, I understand.
And I will also say that in terms of feedback, I have a lot of friends with young kids. They take their kids to other communities to go to their splash pads.
There you go.
So there are people in this community who want this. So I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but I will tell you that I have a lot of friends with young kids who want something like this in Belleville.
Oh, we've heard that.
Mr. Mayor, gentlemen.
This is Mr. Schaefer, and that's what I wanted to know from Jason and even Eric. You're on the park board. Are you hearing from our constituents that they want this to happen? Because to me, that's the important part.
For sure. We always have people inquiring, like the mayor mentioned about the pool when it closed. We had a lot of feedback when the pool did close. When are you gonna build a new pool? When are you gonna build a new pool? Well, we can't build a new pool because they cost too much. So the thought was for a splash pad, and like Eric says, people travel to other communities to go to splash pads. Obviously, you have to make them, I don't know what the proper word to use, extravagant enough. You have to make them nice enough for people to want to stay at them. You just can't build a $50,000 splash pad and expect people to come back to it. But if you make it a nice facility, a nice amenity, people will come to them.
And
we have a lot of communities to the south of us and to the east of us that don't have splash pads, so we're gonna pull people to it, being at the location that it will be in.
And Jason,
I agree 100%, but the splash pad's not a pool.
Correct, it's not a pool, but
it is what it is. I'm just saying.
Jason.
Yeah. It's also a small percentage of what a pool costs.
Very much. Jason,
absolutely.
Jason, I just wanted to make clear to the council, you and I know you talked with the park board, one of the reasons for Bicentennial, we've got the second new restroom facility, another new parking lot, and another new pavilion, which is where you're looking in the proximity of putting this. So we have some of the ancillary items that would have to be built, and they're already there. So isn't that a true factor when we talked about this?
Correct, that is the newest restroom, where this is the newest restroom, newest parking lot. There's a new playground right there, brand new pavilion, and the lake was freshly dredged right there at Bicentennial. So just adding amenity to a very new park.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Gentlemen,
I've been listening to you guys, and I think, it's hard for me to believe that we don't want to go ahead and go through this thing and get this done. When we closed the pool back a few years, 10 years ago or whatever it was, I was on the park board, and I know the kind of repercussions that we heard over this stuff, and the amount of people, they were in the rooms for meetings all the time. They really, really wanted it, and I'm sure that really hasn't changed. Just their faces might have changed a little bit, but it's still the same. It's going to be good for the community. I think with this COVID thing going on, I think if we get this thing done and we get it built in early spring, and as soon as we are allowed to open this thing up or wherever we think it's convenient, I think it'll be a bomb for just a big boom for the city. I think it'll be great. It'll bring people into the crossing over there to do some shopping. They drop their kids off. You could have a hot dog stand in there. You could, you get your amenities that you want and need. And I think this would be a shame if we ruin this opportunity. People are going to feel good about it when they get over there. They might bitch about it right now, but they're feeling good about it when they get over there and they get in that water and they watch them kids splash around, or they jump in there themselves and splash around with their grandchildren or with their children. It'd be a good thing, and I think it'd be great for our community. That's why I would vote to definitely do this.
I hear you,
I agree with you, Alderman Dillman, 100%.
So
I
agree also, Duco.
Okay, so
Mayor, this is Alderman Ferguson. I do want to say, being on staff in a large church, we have a children's ministry here, and even when we ran our daycare, this is a wonderful thing for the kids to go to. I do have neighbors that take their kids to the splash pad in Swansea at Schron Park, and they've also gone to the one in O'Fallon. And like it was said earlier, they are going to other communities, like Eric mentioned. And Belleville doesn't have that. And I do think we need to make ourselves marketable to young families with children.
I agree. So we have right now a motion to table we'd have to act on first, right? In a second.
A point of order, Your Honor.
What's that?
This is Kinsella, point of order.
Yes.
Okay. Alderman Elmore has his petition or his motion on the floor, and then Alderman Wygant would like to make a different one. What he has to do first is make a motion to amend Alderman Elmore's motion. If that passes, then he can amend it. We can vote on that. But he can't just come up with a second motion without first asking permission to amend Alderman Elmore's
Well, his motion was to table the discussion for 2 weeks. Wasn't that right?
Yeah, and actually, under your rules of council, this is Garrett, under your rules of council, that motion to table takes precedence over the motion that's being debated.
Right,
So you would have to vote on it.
We need to vote on the motion to table. And if you decide after some thought here, you don't want to table it, then we'd have to, vote that down and then go back to the original motion. And then if there's a subsequent motion, we go from there, right, Garrett?
Yes, so long as the both motions remain on the floor, the motion to table takes precedent.
Okay, so we have a motion to table and we have a second. An aye vote will table this for 2 weeks so that we can gather a few more facts, but there's been some good discussion. A no vote will take the table off the floor if enough votes are cast, and then we'll go back and proceed from there. So I'm going to call for I'm sorry? Feedback? I'm going to call for a vote at this time, roll call vote on the table motion. I vote will table it for 2 weeks. Ms. Clerk, will you read the roll call?
Kinsella?
Aye.
Hazel?
Aye.
Duco?
Aye.
Pusa?
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Diddleman,
No.
Schaefer,
No.
Steele,
No.
Rothweiler,
Aye.